So why do we give to organizations? We don't give for the notoriety or that. We give for the mission. And so when COVID hit, there were a lot of organizations that were hurt, and I think they were rightfully worried about their funding to meet their missions, whatever they were. We were approached by a group of folks that were putting together a COVID response community-wise. It was a group of about 40, give or take, organizations, foundations, corporations, you name it, that wanted to have a more efficient way to address COVID.
And so when I got with Emmett McLean, I said, Emmett, call UAB, find out what we can do, because this is the worst thing that this world has ever seen, certainly in our lifetimes. We knew that this was real, and we needed to do everything that we could to try to protect our people all around the world, but particularly here in Birmingham.
There were so many unknowns, a lot of fear, a lot of concerns about the COVID-19, and so it was a race against time. And UAB was right in the middle of things. You know, how can we develop a vaccine, develop a cure for this? And so they reached out to us, UAB did, and said, listen, we need a little bit of help here. We're trying to put together a $1 million COVID research fund, and we really need the funding immediately to do that. So, you know, Ed immediately said, yes, listen, we've got to do that. We've got to help.
UAB, like everybody else, saw this as a pending crisis. And early in 2020, UAB leadership got together and really started putting together a plan to help address this looming crisis. Early on, our president, Dr. Ray Watts, realized that this was not a problem that UAB would be able to tackle alone. So he quickly reached out to the corporate community and their leadership to provide them with an update on what we were seeing with COVID-19 and to let them know how they could partner with us to help move us through this crisis. We are very fortunate that as is the tradition with our corporate community, they really stepped up to help to meet that need. And I would have to say that Medical Properties Trust took a special leadership in helping us move forward and meet that need. Medical Properties Trust, along with several others, provided resources that helped us really focus on some key areas. One of those was helping to improve our testing. As many of you remember, testing was an early challenge for us. We were running low on tests. This allowed us to expand our capacity for testing. It also helped us have more accurate testing. It allowed us to expand our testing sites to get those to more people. It also helped us think through an exposure notification app, which became known as GuideSafe. This was critical in helping individuals monitor and trace what was going on with COVID and help keep them safe and others around them safe. The gift from Medical Properties Trust also helped fund 24 high-impact research projects. These projects were competitively awarded to some of the things that we can move quickly and that we could have results from in a matter of weeks or months, and that we could put them to work immediately in helping address this crisis. The impact of the gift from Medical Properties and Trust and others was tremendous, and it actually helped hundreds of thousands of people. We've seen when we work together for a common good, we can accomplish great things, and the pandemic has been a great example of this partnership and the success that we can have together.
And so one of the opportunities that was brought forth in the weekly meetings that I participated in was one about the Black Belt Community Foundation. We immediately fell in love with it. It's like, how do we not support something like this?
The foundation was established in 2004, really with the idea and the dream of serving 12 rural counties that have oftentimes felt disenfranchised from the state, that are also marginalized. And so the foundation itself was created to be a vehicle, an instrument through which dollars and resources could flow to these 12 communities.
And the biggest challenge was they were trying to get a reimbursable grant, and under a reimbursable grant, you have to spend the money first to get the cleaning supplies, the mask, and whatever the counties needed. The problem was the counties didn't have the money to spend it in the first place. So with the help of a number of companies and foundations here, we participated to make that happen.
As time goes on, we find out the money will be made available, and everybody's so excited. And so it's like they're just dangling it right in front of you, but you can't even get to it because it's reimbursable. And you know that you don't have 30 of it. Like if you're a small community and you see a $50,000 allocation for you and your communities, you're so excited because look at what I can do for my communities. It's right there in front of you, yet it's so far away because you don't have access to that. So as we talked with communities, we said, what can we do? And as I talked with Hope about that, they say, well, hey, let's think. And so we said, well, let's approach the philanthropic community, which is very generous in the state of Alabama. And we made a presentation to Alabama Giving, and the response was overwhelming. We had different models of investing, but what the philanthropic community showed us is that it validated the work that we were doing because folks didn't just say we support you, they put their dollars behind it. When we look at Medical Properties Trust putting their dollars behind making sure this could happen, we looked at Alabama Power at Regions, and then those were foundations that were in the state, and there were some from outside of the state, but they believed enough in the fact that when you talk about equity, you're not just talking about everything being equal, but you're talking about everyone having access. So that folks in the Black Belt deserve to have access to CARES funding, just like folks in Vestavia or Mobile or Huntsville. And they made sure that we could provide that.
When COVID started last year, and our department, our responsibility is to manage these assets that the company has. And so we're talking to our operators, trying to help in any way we can. Can we assist with getting PPE to your hospital? What can we do? And so when Ed Aldag, our CEO, called me and said, he was friends with the CEO of Freshly, and maybe we could somehow help frontline workers with providing meals. So I was in touch with the logistics person at Freshly. We reached out to many of our hospitals, and it was quite an undertaking. Coordinate delivery of almost 40,000 meals to frontline workers over the course of a couple of months. And the thought was, these frontline workers are exhausted. And so we wanted to make it as easy as we could for them to have a meal, the nourishment that they needed at the end of a shift. We worked both with hospital people and with Freshly to coordinate delivery of those meals to the hospital so that as the frontline workers were leaving, they could stop at a desk, pick up a meal, go home, heat it up in the microwave, and then go about, hopefully, have some time with their family before rest and back to work.
One of the best things about living in Birmingham is we really do live in a philanthropic community, and it's contagious. And so what you have are people that care and want to do better and make things better and give back. And to see that and to know that each and every person can make a huge impact, it's astonishing. And it does make a difference.